everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we're playing Disney Dreamlight Valley and this video is all about rugs. Update 5 allowed us to customize rugs, and because we're able to place them outside, this means we can do some pretty cool things with them. So in this video, I'm going to try and show you some of those things which might help inspire you to give these a try. Before we get into it, don't forget to like and subscribe, but without further ado, let's get into this. So for number 1, we're going to start off super easy, as this might be a little bit daunting if you've not played around with certain designs and customizing things. And we're going to make a picnic blanket. Maybe you don't have all of the cute picnic blankets that are available in the shop. I know I don't, so sometimes we have to make do, especially if you're after a certain color or certain kind of theme. So if you're wanting to make a rug or a custom design rug, you want to go into customize and then add new and then basic rug and create. Ta-da! So we have our rug, and then you want to go in and you have a lot of different options, but for this one we're just going to want a color because we don't want a pattern on it. So we're just going to click this button here and we will go down and select this nice pink one. I think that will do nicely. And then we're going to add a layer. So I'm going to go into shapes and then I'm going to go with this square one. Click this button and we're going to do this. And then as you can see, it's actually created like a nice little pattern. If you wanted to make it smaller, you could. If you wanted to make it bigger, you could. And this will just reflect all across the whole rug. And as you can see, because of this shape, it kind of gives like a gingham effect, which is perfect for a picnic blanket. I am actually just going to move this slightly because I feel like it needs to be moved, basically. So we're just going to move it to about there, I think, because you don't want the edges to be too close. You don't want it like, I don't know, like that. That just doesn't look as good. It just looks a bit better when it's a bit more centralized like that. And then it's totally up to you what color you go with for this. I think we want a nice little, a bit of contrast. So we'll go with this pink. It is, I think it is the same color pink, but it kind of works. So there we go. There we have a nice little pink rug. And then once you're done with that, you can come out of it and then you'll have it available to place. And then here is a little bit of a build that I did with it just to make it really cute. Obviously you want to play with different kind of styles and colors and things. I'm sure you could come up with something wonderful that makes it look like a proper picnic blanket. I just went for like a little bit of a tea party, food, cake, that sort of thing. And I think it works wonderfully. For idea number 2, I'm going to show you how to make a beach boardwalk. This uses one of the existing patterns that they kind of gifted us with, and it's kind of like a wood effect. You can change up the colors, so if you wanted to do a different color, but I just wanted to create a really natural looking boardwalk to try and complement the kind of theme that I want with this area. So I place them down kind of the wider way, facing away from the bridge. I tried it the other way, it didn't quite work as well. Just make sure you got the placement how you wanted it. I decided to move them a bit closer to the steps and that seemed to work nicely. And I also decided to add in 2 thicker rugs at the end. This does change later in my later build, but I thought it was just a nice way to kind of end the whole setup. So here is the final build. This took me a long time. I did record it, but it glitched, so I can't show you how I did it, unfortunately. But here is what it looks like. I decided to go for a very kind of natural, overgrown looking beach. Tried to stick with more of a orangey, yellowy, and pops of green color palette, which I think complements the wood quite nicely. As you can see, I did manage to get Stitch's house here and also Donald's house by making a little bit of a kind of dock area by just adding in another one of the rugs, just to create a little bit of a kind of segue off of the main strip. And then fun fact, you can actually add rocks onto the paths, or rugs I should say. Some furniture items you can add, some foliage you can add. It's just a bit hit or miss. You just have to do trial and error and see what works. But I'm quite happy with this area. It is an improvement on my beach and I think I'm going to keep it. Some of my builds I kind of build and then tear down, but I quite like this one and I think it looks really nice. If you wanted to, you could carry it on to the other side of the beach and see how you could kind of play around with the shapes there as well. But overall, if you're looking to create like a boardwalk, you're not sure what to do with your beach, particularly this one because I think it's quite hard, this is definitely a good option for sure. So my third idea is actually inspired by KK Spooky from TikTok. I saw her make like a moat around a castle and I thought that's such a cool idea. But why not make a pond? So what I've done is I've put down 3 blue rugs. I just colored these myself using no particular pattern. They're just literally plain colors. And then I'm just going to go in with lots of different foliage around the outside. So you could do this whatever way works for you. I've also decided to add in some rocks because you want to hide the kind of straight line edges from the rugs themselves, so it looks more natural. So I started off using the bigger rugs, and then I added in the smaller little tiny rugs that I normally use for like borders for paths and things, but these work wonderfully here as well. Yes, there might be a few little issues with like the corners and stuff, but you can always hide them with bushes and things later. Don't worry about that. And also you can kind of do them jagged. You can overlay them on the rugs like I said in the last idea. You can definitely do that just to make it feel a little bit more natural. Don't forget to like turn them around and make them around kind of different shapes just to make it feel even more natural. I think this is a great little idea because not all of the kind of biomes have water, ponds. I mean, some of them do, like the meadow is a perfect example, but not all of them do. And maybe you just wanted to add like a little bit of something into one of the biomes. Obviously, you need to surround it with trees to give it some height as well. I think lots and lots of different kind of foliage will just help make this area pop more around the outside and also on it as well. There are some different items that you can obviously place on top of the pond. I'm calling it a pond, it is literally just rugs, but you can put ferns on top of them. I did say some of the items you can put on them, some of you can't. The ferns are one of the items you can, which is good. And also the cattails, I think they're called, the kind of like reed ones. Obviously you can't use the items that are just for water on them, but this one works nicely. You can also put down some of the fallen logs, which I thought was a nice idea, like a bit of kind of log just sticking out the water. And then I went off and got some fish because I wanted to see how they would look sticking out the pond, just to make it a bit more realistic. And I also tried the seaweed, but it did look a bit bright. And then here is what the final pond looks like. As you can see, it does look pretty curved. It doesn't look too kind of square-like, which is what I wanted. You could obviously play around with the different shapes here and try and find a different shape that works for you if you wanted to. The principles, once you've got it down, are pretty easy to learn, and obviously you can change the color of the rugs as well to however you want them. But I think the fish adding on top of them is just a nice little detail. Some of them do kind of stick out a little bit and like sink into the rug, which makes it feel even more like water, which I love. So for number 4, I thought it would be nice to do like a Plaza Fountain area, and for that I've decided to use these rugs. These are one of the patterns that are pre-made, and it's marble-like, which is just amazing. So I wanted to go for a super elegant kind of feel to it. This was a lot of trial and error, but I think it turned out quite nice in the end. I've used the Elegance Gazebo, which I know takes up a lot of resources, but it's worth it. Such a gorgeous item. And I'm also going to use those pillars here. You can't place the pillars on top of the rugs, unfortunately, which is just so random because you can do it with lots of other things. I don't know why the pillars you can't. And then I've added in this lovely Mickey fountain, and to border the edges I decided I'm going to use lots and lots of flowers. I've tried to keep it kind of in keeping with the colors, so there's like little pops of yellow and gold here, and there is some blue here. If you want to use this rug for something, you can actually change the accent colors on it, which is a good kind of idea. If you're kind of trying to, maybe you wanted to do like a blue feature, then you could change it into blue. It's up to you, but it all has that wonderful kind of marbled pattern to it, so it's really a great item. And I think it works really nicely outside as well, because you do see marble areas. It's like a giant tile, so it's gorgeous. I tried to include the globes here because I really like the way that the colors worked with it. You'll see why I changed my mind on that later, but they are a nice item, and I do think that if I had played around with them more, perhaps I could have. But I wanted to use these seats because I thought they were really nice, and they kind of have that elegant feel to them, and I've not really had a chance to use them yet, and I think they're gorgeous. So these are the Enchanted Stone bench, which came with the latest update. Such a nice outdoor bench, so definitely use them wisely. In the end, what I decided to do was go for kind of 3 benches, which may seem a bit excessive, but I just thought it was nice and they lined up nicely as well, so we'll go with that. And I don't want it to feel too kind of claustrophobic. I struggled to find something to put in the corners, so in the end I decided to use some tables and some little flowers on top of them. I did use the orchids, which probably aren't that natural, but I thought that the colours were nice and they were the best colours that we had for the options. So the blue, I tried all of them. I did try all of them, but the blue and the yellow kind of worked nicely as well. And then for the outside, it really was just a matter of kind of adding in lots of foliage. I know that this isn't a build that I'm going to keep, so in case you're wondering why I haven't done it like to perfection, this is why. It was just literally to play around, get some ideas as to what exactly you can do with these rugs. And I think I kind of achieved that kind of brief of just playing around and doing that. I do like it though. I really like the way that this looked. I wonder if maybe my plaza should be kind of like lighter colors, accents of golds. I think that this would fit really nicely with the actual shops that I've got here. So maybe this is something that I want to kind of continue, this kind of theme, because it does work nicely. And this fountain is gorgeous. I just think it needs to be used more. And then just to finish it off, I did kind of add in some path border as well around the outside, but I did want to add in lots of bushes as well, just to kind of make it feel a bit more complete, because I wasn't sure what else to put here. But I think all of the bushes actually look really nice, even though there's like a million of them. I think that they kind of work really nicely together. The trees I did play around with as well. I decided to move them back because they just weren't, they looked better behind. I think it was all about getting like that height behind, and I think that that definitely helped. So yeah, the path, I decided to expand it a bit more as well, but it looks good. So there we have it. Here is the final product of what this one looks like. And I really like the use of the rugs here, because you don't have to worry about how the rugs kind of integrate with the ground around, because we're not doing anything natural. It wants to be structured, so you don't have to worry if there's kind of like a straight edge there. But overall, I really love the way that this rug works, and it looks great outdoors. That marble effect is just wonderful, and all of the colors kind of tie in nicely. As I said before, you can definitely mix and match the colors with this to whatever kind of build you're trying to do. Whatever kind of shape you want to do, you definitely mix this up as well using the different kind of rotations of the rugs. I think you could do something wonderful. So for the final idea, we're going to talk about paths. Obviously, there's a few different ways you could do this. You could use the brick designs that are already there. There's some sort of nice options, and you can play with the sizes there for sure. I decided to go for maybe like a cottagecore-esque autumnal sort of mush path. I played around with the different mushrooms, so played around with the different sizes, also added in some leaves to give some foliage. I used different colors just to add a little bit of depth and things, and different shapes, rotated them around just to give it a bit of something extra. If you do it smartly, the placement, then you can make it look like a curving path through it, which is really smart. When you line it all up together, it will look like the path is kind of snaking through a little bit. I do love this look. I think it would be great if you're doing like an autumnal build. It probably would be better for like the Forest of Velour, but then once you're done with the kind of design, you can just place it down like this. Sometimes because of the shape of them, it does require a little bit of kind of moving, so you could always finish this off with some little stones on the edge just to make it feel a little bit more cohesive. For this, I just wanted to showcase what it would be like to have like a little bit of a walkway, so I added in some bordered paths on the edges just to give the idea of like flower beds, which I really do love doing with these new bordered paths. They work wonderfully. And then obviously some foliage, because I'm just going to try and keep it quite natural. You can, some of the bushes do kind of overlap onto the rugs a little bit, so if you get the placement right, you can kind of hide those lines a little bit more. But the bordered paths actually do quite a good job of lining up against the paths here. The rugs, sorry, why do I keep calling them rug paths? Well, they are kind of paths. Obviously some ferns as well. It is quite a chunky thing, but I think that this could kind of work nicely in or alongside some of the actual in-game paths as well. It just depends what you're really after, but the mushroom thing is kind of nice. Apparently there is mushroom furniture. I have yet to see that, but I would love to see some mushroom furniture, that's for sure. You can overlay the little kind of clusters of rocks over the top of them if it's looking a little bit too bare for you. So I did do that here. Maybe I could have gone for a different color of them, but they still look nice. And then down on the edges, I just decided to add some lampposts just to give the feeling of like the walkway, just make it feel a bit more. So I waited for what felt like an eternity to stop it raining just so I could get some shots of it finished for you. Here is what it looks like. As I said, that this is just like a really little kind of snapshot as to what you can achieve. There is so many different options that you could do to make it use as a real life path. But just remember to add other things in, like having the in-game passes like borders and things, have them working alongside the rugs, having lots of foliage, rocks, all of those things definitely do make it feel more natural and more done, as opposed to just putting a rug down. Those extra details will help elevate it for sure. So there we have it. There's a few different design ideas for ways that you can incorporate the rugs into your outdoor builds. I've seen some other interesting things, such as people doing roads, which is super cool. I haven't tried designing any of those yet, but I'm definitely willing to give those a try, and I don't think they should be too hard to do if you use the little lines that are available. But yeah, let me know in the comments below, what are you doing with rugs? How do you plan on incorporating them in your builds? Are you going to be traditional, or are you going to step outside the box? I'll see you again soon with another video. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye bye.